Welcome back to ARK Survival Evolved for a second look at the spawning mechanism within ARK Survival Evolved and how you can control that yourself using the game.ini file. I think we all know that every map is divided into biomes and more. I'm using procedurally generated ARKs or maps here as an easy to understand example. The biomes, now we've got mountains, grasslands, beach, snow, redwood, and of course the ocean. But the snow is actually, there are kind of sub biomes in there. You've got the shoreline, the snow itself, not the hills if you like, and the snow mountain. So it's not always as straightforward as just a biome. Each one of those areas or subdivided areas has one of these things. They're called blueprints. Okay, I'm going to look at the inland water blueprint, and if I open this, here it's defining what's going to happen with inland water. Now there are 9 NPC spawn entries. Okay, so here is the Spino, which is pretty easy one for me to explain. So you can see it's going to spawn a Spino, and well, that's the entry name. And here it will actually tell me, yes, it is in fact spawning Spino character. And it says here the entry weight is 0.049. And further down in the NPC spawn limits, it's number 4. If I look further down here, here's where I can see the maximum percentage of desired number to allow. So 0.02. So that's 2% of the total spawns from this container or blueprint will be, or maximum will be, these Spinos. I've taken a copy of that and I've put it into a simple text document. And here it is. So this then is all of those information from all of those blueprints or information about the spawners. Now, this is what I took from the one called Dino Spawn Entries Inland Water PGMC. And you can see the list there. You've got the different types of fish, a leech, Kapro, Bary, Sarco, Spino, Otter, and Diplocaulus. You do not have these. Beelzebub, toad, and beaver. These are not included in the procedurally generated ARKs. They're not there. So I'm going to add them. And I'm going to remove the leech. Now I've already been through, we've looked at different commands that you can put in the game.ini file to remove things and to add things. But rather than just use those separate commands, I'm going to be redefining this thing. When I do that, one thing will change, however. Let's look at the Coel as an example. This is top of the list, so it's here. So here is the Coel, and it's called, the entry name is fish 1 to 4. Okay, and it says it will spawn 1, 2, 3, 4 Coels. The percentage chance, however, it will always spawn, if it chooses to spawn a Coel at all, it will always spawn 0, 1. So it will always spawn those two because it's 100% chance. There is a 70% chance it will spawn a third one and a 40% chance that it will spawn a fourth one after that. Now when I reconstruct this container myself, I won't be defining 1, 2, 3, 4. I will just say Coel. So the game will only generate one Coel. It will not generate a group of them. That's the only limitation with this redefining of the spawn container. So looking back at the wiki then, you can see here ConfigOverrideNPCSpawnEntriesContainer, which is a command that can go into the game.ini file. There are 5 parameters that you need to use with that. One, it says spawn class. That is actually the name of this container, which in this one is Dino Spawn Entries Inland Water BGM. Spawn name is anything. You can use, you type anything you want to call it. I can put literally whatever I like in there. The weight factor is the probability that when something spawns, it will be that spawn. So for this one is 0.6. Let's look at the Otter. For the Otter, it is 0.033. That's the probability, but it's relative compared to these others. Look, entity ID, come back to in a moment. Percentage is the maximum percentage of the spawns from that container that this item can be. If I look at the Otter, that figure is 0.05 or 5%. So the game will spawn otters up to a maximum of 5% of the total that is generated by that spawn container. Entity ID referred to is also creature ID. Open a new tab. It's these. We've seen these in another video. So we're looking at the Coel. So if I run down to that one, it is here. What it's looking for is this. Okay, so the entity ID is here, and if I go up to the top, there, entity ID. Good. So now to get all of this information into that wonderfully long command, and here it is. So ConfigOverride. This is the name of the command. Now the container, you see the word here, that we're dealing with is called this. Remember, that is this thing. That's the thing we're overriding. These are the things I said you could call them what you like. So you can see for the Coel, I've just called it Coel Spawner. PGMIW just means procedurally generated map, inland water. But I could have said what I like, put whatever I like. So probability is 0.6, entry weight is 0.6. NPCs to spawn strings. That's that thing, Coel character BPC, which came from here. And that's all there is to it. And I just repeat that for all of these. The second section, NPC spawn limits, that's the maximum percentage. So Coel doesn't actually have a maximum. So actually that should be 1.0, 100% can be Coel if it chooses to. And the same for Salmon. So I'll correct that now. There. Now, Pirhana, probability 0.3, maximum 0.2. So you can see there it is, 0.2, and so on. Now for the beaver and the toad, in the probability, I've entered 1.0. So there will always be a beaver and there will always be a toad. Up to a maximum of 50% of the overall total. So what you could have is you could have a lake full of beavers and toads, half full beavers, half full toads. So having put all of this information into the format you see here, so what it has to look like is you have to remove all of the spaces then and all of the line breaks. So looking down here, you've got before NPCs, you've got a space there, space there, space there. I've checked already. I've got to have a comma on the end of each one. And so I have to go through and I have to remove all of those spaces. So that's all the spaces gone, and now remove the line breaks, which is just these things. Done. Now, despite I have removed all the line breaks and spaces, of course, but it does look on Notepad like 3 lines because Notepad does have a maximum width. It looks like it's spilled over and it's got returns or line breaks in there, but it hasn't. It is just 1 line. So now I can copy that. Go back to the save folder, config, WindowsNoEditor game.ini. And looking down here, after crafting skill bonus multiplier, it's always the last one in mine. I don't know, I'll put a bit of space in. Paste in that line. And again, I've got the tick off word wrap. I'll remove these empty lines. Save it and close it. And now let's go into the game and see what that's done. Right, so here I am in a procedurally generated ARK, one that I know and love. I'm going to spawn in. Okay, but this thing's got some more to eat. He's having some fun with Beaver. Oh, they're all attacking. They're going to kill him. Oh, that's cool. And the frog's joining in as well. Ah, that's cool. I like that. But the piranha are eating the beaver. So, okay, well, it works. It will be a little bit, yeah, well, let's see how this works out anyway. So the question now is, why do things this way rather than another? Because there are arguably simpler, easier to understand commands which I could use in the game.ini to control the same things, more or less. Well, I think one of the reasons would be the changes, for example, the change you saw me making just now in the video, are specific to procedurally generated maps. So if I choose to remove certain things from this map, procedurally generated maps, they will not be removed from the island or Ragnarok or whatever. I want to have one wyvern on this map, but by making those changes, I won't affect Ragnarok. Ragnarok will still have the spawns it has, which the mod author intended. Also, because I have all of the information in front of me now, so I have every dinosaur, I have how likely it is to spawn and how many, and it makes it easier for me to visualize what's going on in my mind and make decisions about how to make those little changes to the spawn rates, for example. So those are the two main things I would say, and I would encourage you to have a go and compare it to for yourself with, you know, how you might be doing things otherwise, and see what you think of it. Thanks for watching. There will be another video eventually, which I'll be turning this into a mod so that you'll be able to download it, and I'll take you through the writing of the mod, which is pretty simple actually. So until then, goodbye.